Good morning, it's Becky with Life Keys Energy. Welcome to today's low and slow regulating practice. This practice is being filmed the day before the US elections, and while I have absolutely no ability to relieve all of our collective stress, what I do have the ability to do is share a practice based in neuroscience to help regulate. While the breath and movement will not release the anxiety completely and it will not release the heavy, it is a tool that may help, and it is one that we can come back to time and time and time again. So for today's practice, we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to actually start today on our belly, face down. So coming on to our bellies, extending the legs back behind us. Maybe those toes point in, maybe the heels point out. Bringing the arms overhead, maybe down by the side, getting super comfortable, whatever is comfortable for you today. Take a moment, moosh those hips, moosh, 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 moosh. Maybe turn your cheek to one side, maybe not. And just pause here. Feel the earth beneath you. Notice where the tops of your feet connect to the earth. Notice where the knees connect. Notice where the thighs connect. Notice where the hips connect to the earth beneath you. The belly. The chest. The back of the hands. And the cheeks. Feel the whole body supported by the earth beneath you. And then close the eyes if that feels safe. And if that doesn't feel safe, just soften the gaze. And as you're laying here, start to bring your awareness to your chest and your belly. Feel that breath on the inhale. Feel the breath on the exhale. Slow and steady. No need to force anything here. Keeping the slow, deep breath with the eyes closed. Bring to mind 5 things that you can see in the room that you're in right now. Four things that you can touch. 3 things that you can hear. 2 things that you can smell. And 1 thing that you can taste. Bringing your awareness back to your breath. And for this practice, let's play with inhaling through the nose for 5 count. And then exhaling out through the mouth like we're breathing through a straw for a 7 count. Inhale 5. Exhale 7. Inhale 5. Exhale 7. Keeping with this as much as possible throughout the practice. Anytime we have the opportunity to make our exhale a little bit longer than our inhale, we invite that parasympathetic nervous system, the restore, relax, rejuvenate part of our body, to come back online. And start to moosh those hips, moosh, moosh, moosh. And as we stay here with this breath, we're going to come into our very first posture. We'll stay flat on the belly, staying prone, walking the left arm across the body in one direction, and walking the right arm in the opposite direction, crossing the arms in front of the body. Maybe use those fingers to hang on to the floor, activating that bicep tendon, and just release the head, letting it relax. Starting to open up that shoulder, that back heart space, part of the body we might feel like we need to protect today. Using the breath, breathing in for a 5 count, exhaling for a 7 count. Inhale 5, exhale 7. Taking the arm that you have up front, releasing across, and then threading it underneath again. Effectively reversing the cross, coming into the Kelly on the opposite side, coming back to that breath, breathing in for a 5 count. Exhaling for a 7 count. Exhale and cross the arms. Bring the hands right back underneath the shoulders. Mush those hips. Mush, 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 mush. We're going to bring the toes together, the knees out wide, and push the hips back to meet the heels. Coming into a balasana, a child's pose. Take a moment here. Place the hands on the ground. Push the hips back. Push the hips back to meet the heels. And lower that third eye towards the floor. Notice the tops of the feet connected to the earth. Notice the palms of the hands. Feel your faithful companion, your breath. Coming back to that 5-7 breath. Fully supported. Safely held. Walking the hands over to one side, lengthening that side body. Breathing in deeply. Walking the hands to the opposite side. Breathing in deeply. Walking the hands back to center. Dragging the hands on the mat, bringing them underneath the shoulders and pushing yourself up to a seated position. From the seated position, we're going to go ahead and come into Sukhasana. Heels align with the groin. Our typical starting position. From Sukhasana, start to rock side to side. Feel the sit bones connect to the earth beneath you. Coming into just a little bit of stillness here. Bring the shoulders up to the ears and waterfall the shoulder blades down the back. And starting to imagine there's a string on the top of your head pulling you just a little bit taller. We're going to take 3 cleansing breaths, just releasing all tension, all anxiety, all fear and trepidation. Any angst that we're carrying right now, just let it go. So we'll take a deep breath in through the nose. And then a forceful exhale out through the mouth like we're fogging up a mirror. 2 more. Let it all go. Last one. Breathe in through the nose for a 5 count. Hold the breath up full. There's always enough. Exhale out the mouth like you're breathing through a straw for a 7 count. Savor the space. Inhale 5. Hold 3. Exhale 7. Inhale 5. Hold 3. Exhale 7. Inhale 5. Hold 3. Exhale 7. 3 more, just like that. And after your last 5-3-7 breath, come back to deep yogic breathing. And bringing the hands to heart center, press the thumbs into the sternum. And take just a moment to set a sankalpa or an intent for today's practice. This practice is just for you. Make it personal. Exhale, release the hands to the knees, drop the chin to the chest. Inhale the ear to one shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, ear to opposite shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Continue with this. Let your breath start to carry you. When the ear finds one shoulder, go ahead and hold it there. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure. And let the opposite arm walk away from the body, lengthening the scalenes. Breathe in here. And walking the hand behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift up. Switching sides, bring the ear to the opposite shoulder. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure. And walk the opposite hand away from the body. Breathing in here. And walking the hand behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift up, release the arm. We'll bring that thumb up towards the ceiling. Bring it right between the shoulder blades any way that it gets there. And then drop the ear to the opposite shoulder. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up. Switching sides. Bring the thumb up towards the ceiling. Bring it right between the shoulder blades any way that it gets there. And drop the ear to the opposite shoulder. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up, release the arms, rolling out the shoulders. We're going to interlace the fingers and bring the fingers back behind the occipital. From here, back stays straight. Drop the chin to the chest and add just a little bit of pressure on the back of the head here. Finding that stretch through the neck and the shoulder. Releasing that held tension. Coming back to that 5-7 breath. Inhaling for 5. Exhaling for 7. And around the back, look down at the belly. Keep the pressure on the back of the head. Gently, gently. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up. We're going to go ahead and take these same interlaced fingers and push the palms straight up overhead. Invite the shoulder blades back down the back. From here, push the palms up and lengthen through the spine. Breathe in here. Leaning to the side, pushing the wing, that scapula up towards the sky. Side stretch. Coming back to center, switching, pushing the wing up towards the ceiling. Breathe in. Exhale, come back to center. Release the arms and roll out the shoulder blades. Or reach the arm across the midline, find the opposite knee. Do your best beauty queen pose. We're going to draw that free shoulder down towards the free knee as the elbow comes up towards the ceiling. Both sit bones stay glued to the floor. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up, switching sides, reaching for the opposite knee. Do your best beauty queen pose. Draw the shoulder down towards the free knee as the elbow comes up towards the ceiling. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up. With the hands on the knees, we'll exhale the heart space forward. Inhale, start to make some Sufi circles. Just encouraging some movement into that spine. Moving gently and lovingly today, finding compassion for ourselves and others. When you get to the back of a Sufi circle, go ahead and switch directions. And slowly start to tighten up the circles. Come all the way back to stillness. Beautiful. From Sukhasana, we're going to roll over our shins and come into tabletop. In tabletop, our knees are roughly hips distance. That's almost 2 fists put between the knees. Joints are stacked. Wrists are under the elbows. Elbows are under the shoulders. Flat back. From tabletop, we'll round the back. Look down at the belly for a cat. Exhale, sink the belly. Tip the head up. Cow. A few more. Let your breath start to carry you here. This is your practice, so if you find a pose that feels particularly delicious today, go ahead and hold that pose. Coming back to that breath, letting the breath carry you. Slow belly breaths with a slightly longer exhale. And then coming into cat, pushing the floor away, tucking that pelvis under, doing your best Salwin cat here. Arch that back, hold here. 3 deep breaths. Sink the belly, tip the head up. Cow. 3 deep breaths. Coming back to a neutral spine. We're going to inhale the left arm up towards the sky. Beautiful. Exhale, thread that left arm through. Place the left shoulder on the ground. Lovely. Taking that right arm that's underneath your shoulder, go ahead and creepy crawl it to the top of the mat. Use those spidey fingers to plug into the mat to activate that bicep tendon. And then pull those hips back just a little bit, elongating the spine. Coming in to thread the needle. Taking 3 slow, deep breaths here. Seeing if you can get a little bit of movement in the chest when you breathe in. I know that sounds really weird, but often when we're experiencing anxiety and fear, our breath gets caught at our collarbones. So just being mindful of where that breath might be trapped at and inviting it a little bit lower. Many of us are going to stay right here and thread the needle. Some of us will choose to take that hand at the top of the mat and bring it back behind us. Flip the palm so it faces the ceiling. And then taking the back of the right hand, place it on the left hip, maybe hanging onto that left thigh, and peel that heart space open towards the sky. Just an option. Breathe in here. Exhale, release. Everybody brings that right hand back underneath the right shoulder. Push through all the fingers of your right hand and bring yourself back up into tabletop. Lovely. We'll switch sides here. Inhale that right arm up towards the sky. Exhale, thread that right arm through. Place the right shoulder and the right temple onto the ground. Taking that left hand, creepy crawl it to the top of the mat. Once again, using those spidey fingers to hang on to the ground. And pull those hips back just a little bit. Breathe in here, thread the needle. Noticing the breath on this side. Some of us will stay here. Some of us will take that left hand, bring it back behind us. Flip the palm so it faces the ceiling and place the left hand onto the right hip, opening that heart space up towards the sky. Breathe in here. Coming back to that breath. Taking the hand that's on your hip, go ahead and bring it back underneath the left shoulder. And then everybody pushes back up into tabletop. From tabletop with a flat back, we'll draw that right shoulder back towards the right hip and look back for tail. Breathe in here. Exhale, come back to center, switching sides, drawing that left shoulder back towards the left hip, look back for a tail. Breathe in here. Coming back to center. We're going to extend the right leg back behind us and rest the ball of the right foot onto the ground. Sink the weight into that right heel and activate the calf. Breathe in here. Very often when we start to feel disconnected, our calves get super tight. So notice how the calves feel. Exhale, release. Let's switch sides, extending the left leg back behind us. Rest the ball of the left foot onto the ground and rest the weight into the left heel, activating that calf. Breathe in here. Exhale, release. Coming back into tabletop. We're going to bring the shins out almost as wide as the mat. Not quite, but almost. Come down onto the forearms, lining the pinky up with the wide edge of the mat. Hips stay high. Pull the hips back just a little bit and lower the third eye down to the ground. Puppy pose. Pause here. If puppy pose is not giving you the stretch through your upper back and shoulders that you were hoping for, go ahead and walk your hands to the top of the mat. Push those hips back a little further and rest the chin onto the ground while you bring your drishti or your gaze between your thumbs. Extended puppy. You're going to breathe in here. Notice where your hands connect to the earth. Notice where your shins and your knees connect to the earth. Notice where the tops of the feet connect. Fully supported, present in this moment. Taking 3 more slow, deep breaths. We're going to pull the body forward, coming onto the front body, just the way we started. You'll line the pinkies up with the wide edge of the mat again, and work your elbows right underneath your shoulders. Beautiful. Toes will point in, heels will point out. Now, from here, push through the elbows as you pull the shoulders and that chest space through. Sphinx pose. Moosh those hips, release that low back. Really focus on widening the collarbones. Breathing into this space of held tension. Inviting the nourishing breath down into the heart space. Exhale, lower down, stack the hands and moosh the hips. Moosh, 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 moosh. We'll take the right leg and bring it out to the side. The thigh is going to come straight out from the hip. You'll bend the knee at a 90 degrees and then flex the foot at a 90 degrees. Beautiful. Bring those elbows back underneath your shoulders. Lovely. From here, you're going to take this right hip and press it down into the ground as you lift that heart space up, opening up those hips a little bit in half frog. In energy medicine, we often talk about emotions and tension being stored in the hips. There's some controversy how true that may or may not be. What I do believe is true, though, is when we start to feel intense fear, and we have a long period of feeling kind of insecure and unsafe, our hips and our hamstrings start to tighten. So half frog is a beautiful way just to invite the hips and the low back to release just a little bit. If your mind is spinning, perhaps starting to add a mantra here. I am safe in my body. It is safe to breathe. Exhale, release. Come on down. Extend that right leg back behind you. Take a moment here. Moosh those hips. Moosh, 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 moosh. Bringing that left leg out to the side. Thigh comes straight out from the hip. Bend the knee at a 90. Flex the foot at a 90. Bring those elbows right underneath your shoulders. And take a moment to press the left hip into the ground as you open. that chest up. Breathe in here, half frog. Notice the difference between the sides. Both sides of your bodies are much more like cousins than twin sisters. So it's very common for one to be tense and one not to be, or one to be more open than the other. Just notice. Noticing that breath, coming back to that breath, breathing in for 5, exhaling for 7. Exhale, release, bring the body down, extending the leg back behind you, mush the hips, mush, 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 mush. We're going to glue the legs together. Bring the hands right underneath the shoulders and hug the elbows into the body. There's no chicken wings in yoga. From here, we're going to push the hips back to meet the heels in a closed Balasana, child's pose. Bringing those hands back behind you. Rest the back of the hands onto the ground. Now, if this Balasana, this child's pose is not comfortable for you, go ahead and come into that open child's pose that we do with the knees open out wide. Whichever one you choose, we're going to be here for 5 slow, deep breaths. Breathing in for 5, exhaling for 7. Bringing those hands underneath the shoulders, push yourself up into a seated position. From this seated position, we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back. Roll those shoulder blades towards each other. And then push the knuckles below the glutes as you open up that heart space. Maybe tilt the head up. Breathe in here. 3 slow, deep breaths. From here, we're going to place the crown of the head, that part that was soft when we were little, as close to the knees as we physically can. Lift the hips up, bring the hands with you, coming into rabbit pose. Breathe in here. Exhale, lower the hips down towards the heels, release the hands. Bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, push yourself up into hero's pose. From hero's pose, we're going to go ahead and come back onto our glutes and extend both legs out in front. Flex the feet and maybe pull the flesh away from the sit bones. Rolling out those legs. Pull those toes back towards the face and then lift up nice and tall through the spine, walking the hands forward, Paschimottanasana. Now, if your hands don't touch your toes, no worries. Maybe those hands rest on your thighs. Maybe they rest on your shins. Maybe they creep down to your ankles. Wherever that is for you today. No worries, no judgment, no forcing. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up. Or bend both knees and plant the soles of the feet onto the ground. Pull the belly back down back towards the spine and roll back vertebrae by vertebrae. Head is the last to land. Opening the arms out wide like a T. Go ahead and heel toe your feet out as wide as the mat. We'll start to windshield wiper those knees from side to side, opening up the hips, releasing any stored tension. And then dropping both knees down to the left. We'll take that left ankle and rest it on the right thigh, activating that right hip flexor. Breathing in here, slow and controlled. Inhale both knees back to center. Windshield wiper the knees a couple more times. And then we'll drop both knees down to the right and bring that right ankle on top of the left thigh, activating that left hip flexor. Breathe in here. Inhale, bring both knees back to center. Inhaling both knees up to the chest. Exhale, twist, drop those knees down to the right, right about belly button height. Taking that right hand, add a little weight to the top knee, and let that left shoulder melt into the earth. Breathing in here, slow and controlled. Exhale, release. Inhale, bring both knees back to center. Exhale, drop the knees to the left, right about belly button height. Taking that left hand, add a little weight to the top knee, letting that right shoulder melt into the earth. Breathe in here. Inhale, come back to center. Hugging both knees to the chest, make yourself into a small ball. Hugging the right knee to the chest, extend the left leg down the mat. Flexing that left foot, active left leg. Breathe in here. And then hanging onto your right knee with your left hand. Cross that left knee across the midline, finding a beautiful back stretch, along with offering the brain a little bit of cross midline movement. Inhale, come back to center, hugging that right knee back to the chest. Exhale, release the right leg down the mat and hug the left knee towards the chest. And then hanging on to the left knee with your right hand, cross that left knee across the midline and breathe in here. Inhale, come back to center, hugging the left knee to the chest. We'll bend both knees and reach down for the pinky edge of the feet. Drop those knees in towards the armpits. Now take a moment, anchor the hips to the ground. Walk the shoulder blades down the back and anchor the shoulder blades to the ground. Lift the head, lengthen the neck, and lower the head back down. With an elongated spine, invite those knees into the armpits with the soles of the feet facing the ceiling. Happy baby. And then straightening one leg and straightening the other. Maybe straightening both. I like to bring the soles of my feet together and hug the arches in towards the chest. And then slowly start to straighten both legs, bringing the heels out as wide as the mat or wider. Walking the shoulder blades down the back, palms facing up. Final resting pose, Savasana. Taking a moment here, curl. We're going to find some relaxation by creating tension in the body. So curling your toes and squeezing your toes as hard as you can for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Release the toes. Flexing the feet, creating tension in the legs for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, release all the tension out of the legs. Activating the quads, really firing up the thighs for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, release all the tension out of the thighs. Tightening the glutes as much as you can for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, release all the tension out of the legs. Pulling the navel back towards the spine for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, release all the tension out of the abs. Pulling the shoulders up to the ears for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, release the tension out of the shoulders. Making 2 fists and squeezing as hard as you can. Really white knuckling it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, release all the tension out of the fists. If you have TMJ, please skip this one. Clenching the jaw as hard as you can for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, release all the tension out of the jaw. Go ahead and open the mouth just a little bit and wiggle the jaw from side to side, releasing any residual tension there. And then squeezing the eyes shut as hard as you can for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, soften the tension behind the eyes. Staying here. Feeling the body supported by the earth beneath you. Safe and held. Present in this moment. Connected to the breath. Take a moment. See if you can get yourself just 10% more comfortable here. Coming back to that breath, breathing in for 5, exhaling for 7. Slowly start to deepen your breath. Start to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing the arms up and over the head for a full body stretch, taking up as much room as you possibly can from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes. Rolling over onto one side, pausing there for just a moment, bringing to mind one thing that you love about yourself, one thing that you're grateful for right now, and offering yourself just a moment of gratitude for taking time to practice some sacred self-care today. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, push yourself up to a seated position with hands at heart center. And I leave you with these words from page 96 of the She book. I used to think I'd be alone forever, strange, misunderstood, aching to create but too hurt to move. Then one day I started to share my weird, my bizarre, my darkest part of the night poetry and scarred lining of my broken, hopeful heart. I was greeted by other wounded and open beings, dream weavers, love warriors, and magic makers. And together, we're walking each other home. I'm so very grateful for the opportunity to practice with each and every one. It is my sincere heart's desire that you leave this practice feeling just a little bit more grounded and a little bit more at peace than when we started. The light in me so very much honors the light in you. I hope you come back to this practice and use it as many times as you need to over the next month or so. Tensions will be high, but you have the power to calm yourself. I love you all. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others.